Authoritarians basically exude toxic masculinity. And we learned from Professor Ruth Ben-Ghiat of NYU that authoritarians will put a female in a position of power as a way to gender wash the masculine patriarchal agenda. And so the MAGA regime has trotted out Pam Bondi as a means to gender wash their patriarchal ambitions. And Pam Bondi is no more the head of the DOJ than I am the president of the United States. Rest assured, the person that runs the DOJ is sociopath, pipsqueak, Stephen Miller, who, according to AOC, is 4'10", which I 100% believe. She completely melts down in front of the Senate today, completely melts down. This clip right here, basically in her non-answers, Bondi is basically colluding with pedophiles in a cover-up. Play the clip.
With you is to read somebody that you mentioned I never heard of.
Reid Hoffman.
So who gave the order to flag records related to President Trump?
To flag records for President Trump?
To flag any records which included his name.
I'm not going to discuss anything about that with you, Senator.
Eventually, you're going to have to answer for your conduct in this. You won't do it today, but eventually you will. I yield, Mr. Chairman.
So here she is refusing to answer because she is a total shill for this authoritarian regime, and her role is to gender wash so that the MAGA females feel like they're being represented before the authoritarians erode their rights.
Pam Bondi is such a fraud. And here's the thing that angers me so much. She has an extremely serious job. She is the chief law enforcement officer for the United States of America. And she is running around covering up for pedophiles, being a complete asshole. My impression is contempt of Congress, because she has responsibility to answer to Congress in her role. She doesn't do it because she is one person's personal attorney, and that's Donald Trump. And she doesn't give a shit about the Constitution.
Here's the problem with whoever the attorney general is that decides that they will work for a convicted felon.
Right.
So you have to start there. And then you can't apply normal logic to her after that, because nobody with integrity, decency, morals, and understanding of the rule of law and appreciation and respect for the Constitution would work for Donald Trump. So what you have after this man instigated an insurrection on January 6th, where his supporters wanted to kill MAGA Christian Mike Pence, you have complete moral rot. So I have zero expectation that there's going to be a contempt of Congress, that there's going to be any consequences for these people until we make it to the ballot box, which is why they are so desperate to declare the Insurrection Act and have martial law so that they can cancel the elections. But here is Pam Bondi right here. Michael Wolff, the reporter, he spoke about Jeffrey Epstein showing him images of Donald Trump with underage girls that were partially clothed. And the senators ask Bondi about this, and she doesn't deny it. And so what you have to listen to in her complete meltdown is not what she says and her ridiculous histrionic behavior. What's more important is that she doesn't adamantly say that is 100% false. Play the clip.
Did the FBI find those photographs that have been discussed publicly by a witness who claimed Jeffrey Epstein showed them to him? You don't know anything about that? Okay.
All right. This tells me she's seen the photos. This tells me the photos exist. Her entire meltdown today in front of the Senate was for an audience of one, actually an audience of two, Donald Trump and Stephen Miller. And this indignant behavior towards the United States Senate surprises me zero. It surprises me zero, anything that they are doing, because they all work for a convicted felon. And the Senate needs to have these and get everybody on record. And they need to have a unifying message coming out of the United States Senate that's going to be a lot better than whatever the fuck Chuck Schumer's message is, that we are going to hold the line and we will get to the 2026 elections and we're going to uphold the Constitution. And then there will be a reckoning for every single bit of that. So when Senator Durbin said, you don't have to answer this right now, but at some point you will have to atone, I agree with him. At some point, there will be our version of Nuremberg trials for all of these criminals, these morally depraved criminals that have taken part in this dismantling of democracy.
I kind of thought when she didn't answer, because it's so obvious, we know that she's seen the pictures, they're widely circulated, that her non-answer was to keep her from lying to Congress. I mean, she's obfuscating and all of that. But to me, that non-answer just protected her from criminal liability at some point in the future.
I totally agree with that. Okay, next up, if you ever want to know why MAGA doesn't understand comedy and that there aren't successful conservative comedians, it's because comedy takes a level of intellect to be able to execute it. Comedians typically have really high IQs. And in my opinion, conservatives are not big critical thinkers. They don't understand nuance. Therefore, they don't understand comedy. So I want you to watch this little comedy routine that went down during the Pam Bondi hearings today in the Senate.
And I'll point out Senator Kennedy has a new book about testing negative for stupid. So I hope I test negative for stupid. I hope I meet the threshold of
You
of
do
book
meet
time.
it, and I talk in the book about the tattoo of the Backstreet Boys on your back.
Look, I can't help that you don't want to reach young people. I think young people are the future, damn it, and I'll do whatever steps are
The
needed.
Backstreet Boys?
That would be on Vice President Vance's playlist, I heard, that got hacked.
I mean, that's just all a real big knee slapper to all of them. So if you want to know why they're so mad at Jimmy Kimmel and why they're so mad at Stephen Colbert, that was funny to them. They were just dying laughing. I mean, Ted's really piling on his Texas accent and Kennedy is just really getting into it. And then Pam Bondi's throwing JD Vance in there for shits and giggles. These people are so fucking pathetic. They are so pathetic. And Americans are celebrating the villains. These people are villains and they're not even cool. They're not even remotely cool. Next up, we have Lady Graham, who had a stage 5 meltdown in the Pam Bondi hearings.
You can't, can you?
I can't, Senator, and I
Can you
can't
tell me
discuss it.
why my phone records, when I'm the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, were sought by the Jack Smith agents? Why did they ask to know who I called and what I was doing from January 4th to the 7th? Can you tell me that?
No, Senator, and there were 8 senators in total.
I mean, these people are so bad at this. First of all, Lady Graham is way too emotional to be in the United States.
Wait.
He's a total basket case. I mean, he needs to go get his hormones regulated. That was histrionics and hysterics of the highest order. And nobody likes people that just devolve into histrionic episodes. And it seems like Lady Graham is doing it constantly. And the way she responded, they are all doing this for show. This is such a shit show of incompetence and morally depraved losers in a real world. None of those people would have jobs. None of them.
And I completely agree. And here's the thing. The reason these senators were being looked at by the Jack Smith investigation is to ascertain whether they participated in the insurrection. And he had every right to do it because it happened at the U.S. Capitol. So all this faux outrage, Lindsay, guess what? If you didn't fuck around with the insurrection, you're going to be fine. But I thought his response said, oh, he had something to hide. That's what I thought.
Lindsay just has not been the same since his girlfriend, John McCain, passed. I mean, he just has not been the same. He and John McCain were kind of mavericks. And I remember back in the day, they weren't total shills for the Republican Party. A lot of times they worked on bipartisanship. And ever since John McCain died, which tells me that Lindsay really loved John. in a really
Right.
intense way. And I think John McCain was heterosexual, but I think Lindsey really loved John. And when John died, Lindsey lost his North Star, and he has
Right.
just been off his rocker since then. And then we all know about the DC escorts that have talked about the ladybugs on Lady Graham's ass. All right. Now, while all of this stuff is going on, Pam Bondi's putting on a show of histrionics, which is a surprise to no one. It's a surprise to no one that she is a shitty attorney general because she went to work for a convicted felon. None of this is shocking. But they do all of this stuff to distract so that middle Americans can focus on something other than the fact that they keep voting for billionaires to get richer. And the biggest lie being perpetrated on the American public right now is that Democrats want to pay for illegal immigrants to have health care. And I want to remind all of the people that believe that the government doesn't even provide health care for your ass.
Right.
So for you to think that then we're just, yeah, let's skip over the American citizens and then let's just go straight to undocumented workers. But I want to show what Democrats are fighting for right now, because they don't get enough credit that a lot of the people that they're fighting for are triple Trumpers. And this is a video that I believe it was on CNN that I found incredibly helpful to understand what happens if the Democrats cave to health insurance premiums. Play the clip.
An older couple out there who's making $85,000 a year. That's not billionaires or anything like that, but that's a higher earner in this case. Here's their current premium, $7,225 per year. That's 8.5% of their income. That's sort of the top end under the current rules. Under the change, if it expires, that will jump to $25,000 per year. That's almost a 30% increase. That is,
That's not sexy. That's not as entertaining as all of the MAGA fuckery, but that's real. $85,000 a year in America does not get you that far, but it is a decent, honest wage. And more than likely, you're probably going to live paycheck to paycheck. And if you're lucky, you might be able to take one vacation a year. But for your insurance to go up, if they roll back the ACA by 30%, and then you're paying $25,000 a year for health insurance, the MAGA has to come up with a reason to lie to you. And so what they do is they scapegoat the people that are the most marginalized, people that are more marginalized than you. And at the end of the day, you have these MAGA Christians that think they are so pro-Jesus that are instructed by their Lord and Savior to help the sick. And at the end of the day, 12 times out of 10, they're fighting for the insurance industrial complex. Yeah. It is insanity. Other countries look at our healthcare system and are baffled at the lack of morality in providing healthcare for citizens of this country. It is a stain. It has always been a stain. And Moses Mike Johnson and Donald Trump and the big ugly bill was the largest cut of healthcare to the poorest people in our country. That's what MAGA is. It is a lying, hypocritical, bullshit Christian party. And at the end of the day, you have people that make $85,000 a year that will pull up to Fox News, listen to Tucker Carlson on their way to work, and fight for a multi-billion-dollar industry to get richer off of working class Americans. All right, that's all we have for this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you all later.